Alright, welcome back, hot dogs. It's your boy Spider Pig, aka TWP. Y'all already know what time it is. It's like early as fuck on Saturday, so that makes it a super Saturday because y'all know we got Dragon Ball and super content to review. Shout out to the super reviews that we do on Saturdays because you know it's usually something about Dragon Ball or whatever the hell y'all want to talk about because you know we'll be in the chat. Shout out to the chat because we're going to be hitting y'all up too. I'll be checking everybody references. Make sure you even know what you talking about when you come through my page. You're not even a Dragon Ball fan, so why would you hate on me? It happens. But guess what? Go check out the Buy Me a Coffee. Yeah, look at the Buy Me a Coffee. We at zero, but we gonna go somewhere one of these days. Shout out to one of these days somebody gonna start supporting. But y'all know how we do. We gonna hit the view page mode because you know we got our Buy Me a Coffee set up. And one of these days, y'all might feel like buying me a coffee. Did I say that link over here? No, I didn't. But we'll go ahead and drop our Rumble link in the chat. Shout out to hitting us up on Rumble. Y'all know we got videos over there too. Just like how I'm recording this on OBS for Rumble later. It'll be over there. See, y'all see we got the videos over here on the Rumble. There's last week's video. They got about good 12 views and then 8 unique views. Shout out to that. But anyways, y'all already know I ain't trying to hold y'all up today because I got more stuff to be doing later. So we're going to get on to the videos. Hit the play all button. Shouts out to doing content reviews. You know, that's what we do over here, baby. Keep it popping.
Who is the strongest character in Daima right now? At number 5, Goku, just because we haven't seen his full power in all his fights yet. At number 4, it's Tamagami number 2. With the power boost from Neva, he was overpowering Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta, making him a serious threat. At number 3, we've got Tamagami number 1. It's stated that he's the strongest of all the Tamagamis, and that definitely earns him this spot for now. Then we have Vegeta at second spot, because I don't think he would have had any problem beating the number 1 Tamagami with Super Saiyan 3. Finally, at number 1 it's none other than the chocolate-loving Majin Buu. He toyed with his opponent like a kid with a toy, and considering that his opponent was stronger than the other Tamagamis, it's clear Dude deserves the top spot for now. But what do you think? Who's the strongest in Daima right now?
That's a good question, though, because, you know, Dude really wasn't trying to put down a demo.
So you got some more tackles. That's what you always need to fight to make that tackle.
Of course, Vegeta's just too cool with that, huh?
Don't forget to leave a like if you're stopping by, and if you're new to Geekdom 101, remember to subscribe and enable all notifications so that way you don't miss a single video. We discuss all things Dragon Ball here, movies, anime, manga, and even some video games. We've been here for 10 years and many more to come. I thank you for your continued support. Let's get to the video. Alright, so I didn't think I'd be doing a video this early in the year, but we've got our first piece of Dragon Ball news already. It is January 2nd here on the East Coast in the United States. And we've got 2 bits of news for you today. One is involving a secret code, a secret message hidden within Dragon Ball Daima. And the second is involving a new Dragon Ball game coming very soon. Now, both of these bits of information come from the end of the year special event. Akio Yoku, the producer, the former head of Dragon Ball Room, who you've seen on tons of interviews and tons of conventions and things like that, has two pieces of news. First of all, the Daima thing, because there's already people getting this mixed up. So Akio Ioku, according to Herms, stated at the year-end event, or at the year-beginning event, that every Dragon Ball Daima title has like a red character. Now, I knew that was the case just by looking at the titles, you can tell. Didn't think it meant anything though, but apparently there's a secret code with a secret message inside of Daima. Basically, at the end of Daima, when all the episodes are done, I believe you're supposed to pull out the red character, and it's supposed to make up some kind of phrase or some kind of word. Herms has already compiled all of the existing ones, and they don't seem to mean anything yet. That he thinks it's only going to become clear when all the letters have been compiled. Right now, I've already seen people asking me about this. First of all, there's no Dragon Ball Daima episode this week. Tomorrow, next week, Daima will resume. But I've already had people asking me, and asking Herms, if they think that this red letter message, this red character message that's going to appear at the end of Daima is going to hint for the next Dragon Ball Super anime, the next Dragon Ball Super movie, or more episodes of Daima. I don't know what the message is going to be, but I'm telling you now, and you should know from my track record covering Daima, please temper your expectations. If they are going to announce a new anime, movie project, more Daima episodes, anything involving Super, they're not going to do it within the body of Daima. Now, as much as I think that would be cool, because the MCU did these awesome, post-credit scenes, they kind of reinvented those, and now everyone uses them, right? Dragon Ball's post-credit scenes are more like comedic and fun, not really to promote the next thing. So whatever this code is, it likely will have something to do with Daima or with Toriyama himself. So that remains to be seen. But like I said, I'm not here to BS you. I do not foresee this being an announcement. Whenever a new Dragon Ball project is announced, it's going to happen on the Dragon Ball site, in one of the magazines, or at a convention. It's not going to be announced within another show. Please be aware of this. It's just going to be an Easter egg. Now, the thing that was discussed by Akio Ioku, besides Daima, is he says he was asked about more games and movies, and he said there may be some announcements coming this year. Now, let's not get our hopes up with this. Let me tell you why. Because let's not forget he's pulled this card before. A couple of years ago, 2023 or 2022, I think it was, he said there was going to be another announcement coming in 2022. And that never came. Now, looking back at it now, we know that this was probably Daima, but the reason as to why it wasn't announced is because the project took longer than expected. We know this because it's been confirmed that Dragon Ball Daima went into production in 2022. So that's when all of the visuals were submitted. That's when all of the early production happened, was 2022. So, and if you remember, in January of that year, ironic, isn't it? He said,
up early,
we may have some more announcements later this year. And it was nothing. And it wasn't about the superhero movie because that had already been announced. I feel like we should remember that and maybe not take this too seriously. Yes, there have been rumors swirling of a Dragon Ball Super movie going back months. I have no update for you on that because nobody else has said anything about it. Like, none of the quote-unquote leakers in the fandom have even been updated about it, and I haven't heard anything besides what I already reported a couple months ago. I'm not even sure when that project's coming out, so that's why I'm letting you know right now the best thing we can do is just not get our hopes up, because every time people fall for this, I've been blamed for it in the past, but then I stopped even hinting at stuff And I told everybody, lower your expectations, and people still do it. They say, oh, well, this must be an announcement. This must be something big. And people thought, I told people a month before Diamond was announced that Dragon Ball Magic was coming. That's what it was called back then. And people still thought that it was going to be Moro. People thought the announcement at the convention of Daima last year, or 2 years ago now, 2023, was going to be the Moro arc of Super, even though I told everybody, no, it's a new show, Goku becomes a kid again. All of that was reported a month before the convention here on the channel. So I'm just telling you, because I still see the question. I don't think this means anything. Hopefully we do get something. Obviously we'll keep you up to date here on the channel as far as what's coming, what's next.
See, with as many people that usually critique geekdom, he still does have pretty good, valuable information over there, because he be coming with it. Shout out to doing his motherfucking thing, because, hey, give me something to review.
The next thing we know for sure, we have 8 more episodes of Daima, and we have the next manga one-shot coming in February. That we know for sure. And there's obviously going to be new DLC coming out for all of the video games. So, not all of them, but, Kakarot's getting it, Sparking Zero, obviously. A lot of... That's it. Those are the 2 bits of news. Have a good one. See you guys this Sunday for the Super Magic Show Live as we remember Toriyama with a Toriyama historian, Derek Padula. See you then.
Y'all need to go check out his channel, right? Y'all need to go hit that Geekdom, aka Big D, over on Instagram, I believe, something like that. Don't search too much into that, though, because I might have said that wrong. Yeah.
In Dragon Ball Daima, Episode 10, Nahar reveals Supreme Kais, including himself, were chosen by Rymus after the multiverse's creation, tied to the now extinct Glins, whose life-giving trees are dead. This expands Nahar's backstory and raises the stakes for his role. Meanwhile, Neva, the ancient Namekian who created the Demon Realm's Dragon Balls, reappears after a long absence, now serving Goma with a sinister presence. His ominous confrontation with the Dragon Team sets the stage for an unpredictable clash. Nahar's revelations intertwine with Neva's return, hinting at a larger, multiverse-spanning conflict. The looming extinction of the Glines adds urgency, forcing the Dragon Team to face both personal and cosmic threats.
Start by talking about King Goma, a central figure in the plot of Dragon Ball Daima. We know that he is a demon and, like any king, he is extremely ambitious. Demons in general have a great desire for power, and it is no surprise that Goma is after the demonic third eye. This artifact seems to be much more than just something valuable or rare. It is a key that can unlock immense powers, which justifies Goma's great interest. But after all, why does he want this eye so much? Let's explore some possible reasons. The first and most obvious reason is the grotesque increase in power. The third eye could actually be an artifact that grants the user a significant increase in strength. Or, even more interestingly, it could be an object capable of unlocking forbidden abilities, those deadly and extremely powerful techniques that are beyond the reach of most warriors. As
exactly thrilled about the idea of wiping out entire species, but at least you'll be free. Free to explore the universe and to fight exciting battles. Because, at the end of the day, you're a Saiyan. You can't deny that fighting brings you a certain thrill. But you were so wrong. The life of a Saiyan warrior is miserable. When you were a kid, they told you stories of Saiyan glory, of how they were
Yeah,
destroyed.
that's our next video we can
Sent back to
review.
work immediately. Parenthood doesn't really...
That's
As soon as you come
beginning.
into the world, you're taken from your mother and placed in an incubator. There is no time for her to raise you. She's sent back to work immediately. Parenthood doesn't really exist in a sane society, especially amongst low-class warriors. Your parents don't care about you. Not because they're cruel, but because they've been taught not to. For them, you're just another soldier. There's even a good chance you'll never see them again. As a Saiyan, you don't belong to your family. You belong to the army. The moment you're placed in the incubator, your fate is in their hands. The army runs tests to figure out your power level. That number decides everything about your future. If your power level is very low, you might be one of the lucky few to escape the warrior life. You would be given to the non-fighters to be raised for simple tasks. Cleaning, cooking, or building. It's not much of a life, but it's safe and peaceful. That's more than what most Saiyans get. If your power level is decent enough, you might be sent off to a distant planet as part of the King's new program. They've started sending babies to conquer worlds on their own. The idea is simple. If the child succeeds, the Saiyans gain a new planet. If not, it's no big loss. But the program almost never works. For most Saiyans though, a high enough power level means only one thing. You'll be raised as a low-class warrior. You'll grow up in one of the army's thousands of incubators, surrounded by others just like you. When you're old enough, they'll take you out and put you in basic classes. Education is still a new idea for the Saiyans. It's not something they value on their own. The only reason they teach you to read and count is because King Cold's forces require it. They want you to know how to fly their ships, read their commands, and use their technology. Your indoctrination begins early. You are taught to take pride in destruction, to see the erasure of entire planets and races as a noble duty, a cornerstone for Saiyan pride. But even amidst the harsh discipline and brainwashing, these early days are ironically some of the best of your life. But these lessons don't last long. As soon as you can read basic instructions, that's where they teach you what being a Saiyan is really about. Training is hard. As soon as you learn to control your energy, they teach you some basic Saiyan techniques like the garlic gun. At first, it feels exciting, like you're tapping, pairing you up with kids your age for fights. Brutal are last man standing matches. Tournaments are organized all the time. They say it's to train the next generation of warriors, but really, it feels like a show. Something for the older soldiers to bet on. When they decide you're ready, you move to the second part of your training. That's when things start to get very bad. You are introduced to the Cybermen, vicious plant-like creatures that were found in one of King Cold's conquered planets. The Saiyans use them for war, but also for this training. Your task is simple. Fight them. These things are so strong, far stronger than you. The first time you fight, you barely stand a chance. You get beat into the ground over and over again. And every time you think you might die, they drag you back from the brink just to throw you into the next fight. The trainers know that your small, fragile body isn't a match for the Cybermen. But that's the point. They want you to humiliating, but they tell you that this is what it means to be a Saiyan. Some of your cameras don't make it. They die during training. But it's twisted, but you cling to the idea. It's the only thing that makes the pain feel it. Spoiler, it's not. It's time for the final part of your training. You're going to learn to control the Saiyan's most powerful weapon, the Ozaru. To do this, the trainers create artificial moons to force your transformation into a great ape. They tell you to focus and try to control it. That's it. No real technique, no instructions. There is no real method to controlling this power. It's different for everyone. You're thrown into this for weeks, spending more time in your transformed states than your normal form. The transformations leave you exhausted. You're barely yourself anymore, just a tool they are sharp for war. If you're lucky or unlucky, eventually you begin to control the form. At least enough to follow orders when transformed. Mastery is rare, something only the truly skilled can achieve. For you, a low-class fighter, this is as far as you'll go. It's enough to keep you alive on the battlefield, and that's all they expect of you. And now you're ready. Ready to fulfill the destiny they've drilled into your head since birth. Ready to fight, to conquer, and to kill. Whether you actually want it or not, that doesn't matter. You're a Saiyan, and this is your purpose. Your training years were hard, but somehow, you've forgotten most of the pain and suffering. Now you're preparing for your first mission, and your focus has shifted to the future. If it's anything like the adults described, it might even be acceptable. You're not exactly thrilled about the idea of wiping out entire species, but at least you'll be free. Free to explore the universe and to fight exciting battles. Because, at the end of the day, you're a Saiyan. You can't deny that fighting brings you a certain thrill. But you were so wrong. The life of a Saiyan warrior is miserable. When you were a kid, they told you stories of Saiyan glory, of how they were the strongest race in the universe, how conquering planets was as easy as flipping a switch, how entire civilizations crumbled before them. Those were all lies. Conquering planets is a grueling work. Many have powerful armies willing to fight for the last breath. Others have advanced technologies or secret weapons that give them a massive edge. Some use magic or strange abilities that are impossible to predict. And some planets even have their own teams of superheroes protecting them. Heroes who are often stronger than you. Since Frieza took over the Gold Force, now called the Frieza Force, things have only gotten worse. He only sends Saiyans to the planets with the highest power level, claiming it's because Saiyans are his strongest warriors. But some whisper that it's because Frieza despises the Saiyans and wants to see them suffer. More often than not, conquering a planet takes multiple attempts. Each time you come back injured and barely alive. The fights aren't even thrilling, they are chaos, pure chaos. And when you do win, that's when the real horror begins. You're expected to wipe out everyone, families, children, without any hesitation. It's heartbreaking, at least for you. The others don't seem to care. Maybe they're just hiding it, or maybe you are different. Every victory feels hollow. You don't even get to claim spoils or enjoy rewards. Everything goes to Frieza. For a low-class warrior like you, there is no salary. Just scraps you manage to scavenge during the chaos. This is your life for years. No rest. No peace. You spend more time injured and broken than whole. After every mission, you rush to the medical pod to heal, only to be sent out again as soon as you're fit to fight. You start craving the pods. Despite the pain, it's the only time you feel at peace. But it's during these moments of solitude, floating in that strange liquid, that a thought takes root. A thought that you can't shake. You can't keep living like this. After all these years, the exhaustion has reached a point where it's unbearable. You need to find a way out. At first, you consider escaping, just leaving it all behind. But it doesn't take long for reality to crush that idea. Frieza's scouters track every movement, and with the reputation the Saiyans have across the galaxy, there is nowhere safe for you to go. Even if you could evade capture, you'd be constantly hunted. And then, there is the pride. Saiyan pride. You spend your entire life rejecting the propaganda, mocking it in your head, seeing it for the tool of manipulation it is. But deep down, that pride still lingers. The thought of running away feels like an unbearable shame. Even if you hate the life they forced on you, escaping like a coward isn't an option. What you really want is revenge. Revenge on Frieza, the one responsible for the endless pain and suffering of your people. And revenge on Prince Vegeta, who stands on the top and does nothing to help those below him. He benefits from the system as much as Frieza does, and he's just as guilty. For the first time in your life, you see things clearly. The Saiyan condition isn't just painful, it's unacceptable. You've been fed lies from the day you were born. Your purpose as a Saiyan isn't to fight and conquer, it's to rise above this. It's to do something about it. So you start to speak, carefully and quietly. You talk to people you trust, at least a little. You've heard stories about Saiyan who rebelled, who refused to stay in the line, only to disappear without a trace. So you tread lightly, choosing your words and your audience with care. You tell your cameras that this life isn't fair, that the pain and suffering, the endless battles, should always come with a reward. That even if they enjoy destroying planets, shouldn't they at least claim the spoils? Shouldn't they have the right to live with dignity? Not as tools for someone else's empire? You remind them of the shared experiences, of battles where you stood together, bleeding and broken, of how some of the weakest races you've conquered managed to resist just by working together, of how some of them chose to die at your hands rather than live as slaves for Frieza. You ask why Saiyans, with all their pride, don't do the same. You tell them that there is nothing more glorious than toppling the ruler of the galaxy himself, to prove that Saiyans are more than just pawns in someone else's game. And that's when the harshest truth of all hits you. The worst thing about your condition isn't the forced battles or the constant pain. It is not the evil you're made to do, or the innocent lives you destroy. It's not even the fact that you receive nothing in return. No, The worst thing about your condition is the others. It's that everyone around you accepts it. The true tragedy of your life is not Frieza's cruelty or the ignorance, the false consciousness of your people. They have bought so deeply that they don't even see the chains around their necks. You spend months trying to find others like you. Those who refuse to let their destiny be directed by Frieza, who want something more than this life of endless battles and misery. For a long time, it feels...
Shit. Like he said, I mean, you live an entire life, ran by Frieza Force. Hopefully you don't die and you just luckily get old. Then you get to go sit on Planet Vegeta and be one of the old heads. Like, man, that's like the low fucking percentage of people that make it that far. And then you still low class because that's what Vegeta gonna tell you. Yeah, so what? Your power level is 10,000. I had that at the age of 6. Yeah, get that shit the fuck out of here.
feels hopeless. Most of the Saiyans you approach are too entrenched in the lies to even consider your words. But then, one day, you find them. It starts with a single soldier, asking you subtle questions about your beliefs. Eventually, he reveals himself as a part of a secret group. A group that shares your ideas, but has been hiding, waiting for the right moment to act. You're introduced to the others, a small gathering of Saiyans, mostly low-ranking warriors like yourself, along with a handful of Tuffles. The Tuffles are a race that had always lived under the Saiyan rule on planet Vegeta as slaves. But since Frieza's race to power, some of them have gained positions of influence, thanks to their scientific ingenuity. Their knowledge is very valuable, and their inclusion in the group is a testament of the vision you all share. A galaxy free of Frieza's tyranny. For the first time in your life, you feel like you have true comrades, friends. It's a strange feeling, the sense of connection. Having people you care about is something you'd never allowed yourself to imagine. It makes the missions harder. Destroying innocent lives weighs heavier on you now that you have people you care about. The energy in the hope. The members have real strategies, real plans for change. Some advocate for reaching out to the Galactic Patrol, hoping for an alliance. Others suggest building a coalition of races devastated by Frieza's conquest to mount a rebellion. And then there are the whispers, rumors that Frieza may not even be out there more powerful than him. And then, one day, a Tuffle historian in the group shares something that shakes you to your core. He tells you the story of Yamushi. The myth of legendary Super Saiyan, he explains, is not a myth at all. It's history. Yamushi was real. A Saiyan who rose above all the chaos and brutality of his time, who stood for something greater than destruction. As the historian speaks, you feel something awaken inside you. Pride. Real pride. Not the hollow, manipulative kind you've been fed your entire life, but the kind that comes from knowing your people are capable of greatness. For weeks, Yamushi is all your group can talk about. His story becomes a beacon of hope. You dream of finding him, or someone like him. A savior who will rise, defeat Frieza, and free the Saiyan race from its chain. For the first time in your life, you look forward to the future. The idea of the Super Saiyan consumes you, driving you forward with a renewed sense of purpose. And for the first time, you dare to believe that things might actually change. Weeks pass, and you and your information that could help you stand against weaknesses, anything. Your group is usually secretive. No information leaves its circle, but this time, something does. The legend of the Super Saiyan. Maybe someone in the group got too excited and let it slip. Maybe they tried to use it to recruit others. Whatever the reason, word spread fast. Before long, you hear some soldiers talking about it. They don't take it seriously. Most of them dismiss it as nonsense, a wild conspiracy theory to laugh about during downtime. Thankfully, no one seems to suspect your group as the source of the rumor. But this rumor doesn't stop with the Saiyans. It spreads through the ranks of Frieza's army, even reaching Frieza himself. And to your astonishment, you hear from one of your comrades that Frieza believes it. And not only he believes it, but he's growing paranoid. At first, this feels like a victory. You think, we've already gotten into his head. If he's so scared of the Super Saiyan, maybe he'll leave us alone. But you were so wrong. At the time, you couldn't have known how deeply Frieza's fear would run, or how devastating its consequences would be. You didn't know then, and in that ignorance, you allowed yourself a rare moment of happiness. For the first time, you let yourself fell in love. She was a member
when
of your
you know
group,
everybody gotta
sharp
come back to
and
play
fearless,
Vegeta.
with strength that went beyond her power level.
Boom.
In sane society,
Everybody got him
monogamous
now.
relationships are almost unheard of. But in your
Planet
little
was hit by
group,
an
it's
asteroid,
different. When the two of you announce your bond, everyone celebrates.
AKA shot
Even as
down
the
by
planning and
Frieza.
preparation for the change continue, you feel lighter for once. The weight of battles
Everybody
and
was
fear
there.
seems
Everybody.
easier to carry
Everybody
with
was
her
there.
on your side. But
Except for the
peace
people that was
never
off
lasts
point, you know,
long in a
like the
Saiyan's
Gokus,
life. The
the
stress
Prince
comes rushing
Vegetas,
back
Raditz,
the day she
Nappa,
tells you she's
Broly,
pregnant. It is not
Perius,
the idea of
Ronnie,
becoming a
Larry,
father
Ricky,
that scares
Mike,
you.
all
Not
of
at
them.
all. The thought of having a child fills you with something rare. Something that feels like a purpose. It's a feeling you've barely allowed yourself to experience since your childhood was stripped away by war. What terrifies you is the thought of your child enduring the same horrors you faced. The battles, the blood, the endless suffering. There is no way you're going to let that happen. You have to save him. Your son is taken by the army and placed in artificial wombs like all the others. Soon, they'll start assessing his power level, and if he's deemed fit for recruitment, he'll be taken away, and you may never see him again. This thought haunts you. A part of you hopes, desperately, that your son will be weak enough to be rejected by the army, weak enough to be released to some non-fighters and be forgotten. Then you could find him and take him away, far from the violence and the suffering. But the news isn't promising. Insiders in your group tell you that the early data suggests that your son has an extremely high power level. He might even be one of the elites. You're crushed. You feel like you've lost your only chance to save him. And yet, deep down, you can't deny a flicker of pride. When all you want for him is to be spared, you feel proud that your son has inherited such strength. You feel hopeless until your group steps in to help. They know how much your child means to you. They see the fire in your eyes and understand that this isn't just so very corrupt. If you know the right people and have enough to offer, you can sometimes bend the rule. So you and your wife sell everything you own, everything you've ever earned, and offer it as a bribe. It costs you everything, but it works. The documents are falsified. Your son is officially labeled as weak and unfit for service, and he's finally released. The weight lifts from your shoulders, and now the real work begins. Your group knows the clock is ticking. It's time to finalize the plans for your operation. The rebellion is no longer a
narrate
distant
this
dream.
like whole
It's
little
real,
story,
and
though.
it's starting now. And
It's
you
a
will
little
do
review.
whatever it takes to ensure your son has a future worth fighting for. But before any concrete plan could be made, shocking news reached your group. One of your comrades, a Tuffle with insider
was his
access to
first
the
attempt
army,
at
he
animating.
has been working in one of the incubation
Yeah,
facilities
imagine what
where
happens when he
newborn
get
same
good,
power
though.
levels were evaluated, and they discovered a child with a power level unlike anything ever recorded. It was beyond comprehension, and he was sure this child might be the legendary Super Saiyan. The group was stunned. Their hope was reignited in a way you hadn't seen before. But there was a problem. King Vegeta himself has ordered the child to be exiled to an inhabited planet. No explanation was given, but it was clear. The king saw the child as a threat, not a savior. This revelation only deepened the group's resentment towards the king. It confirmed what you had always suspected. King Vegeta thrived under Frieza's rule and worked to preserve the very system that enslaved the Saiyan race. The group decided to act immediately. A small team volunteered to steal one of Frieza's ships and start searching for the exiled child. They knew the risks. Their disappearance will not be unnoticed, and Frieza's forces would hunt them relentlessly. But the possibility of finding the legendary Super Saiyan was worth everything. As expected, news quickly spread that the ship was missing, and Frieza's paranoia grew. He was already fearful of the Super Saiyan legend, and this event pushed his suspicions further. While your comrades pursued this faint hope, you focused on what little time you could spend with your son. Your work in the army left no time for you to be a father, and he was largely cared for by a trusted comrade who had no fighting duties. It hurt to see him grow up without you, but you trusted your friend to keep him safe. Then came an unprecedented command. All Saiyans were to return to planet Vegeta immediately. Off-world operations were to cease entirely. At first, the directive seemed like an unusual but welcomed opportunity to finally spend time with your kid. But upon returning to the planet, the mood among your comrades was tense. Insiders had uncovered troubling information. Frieza was behind the recall. That much was certain, but no one could say for sure what he was planning. The theories were grim. Some believed he intended to end the Saiyan self-governance entirely, folding them permanently into his army to weaken their autonomy further. The implications were dire. Such move would make your mission almost impossible. The rebellion would lose its footing before it even begun. One of your comrades shared the story of another father who, fearing the worst, he sent his child to a distant weak planet. A precaution against the unknown future. You thought about it, but dismissed the idea. You had fought so hard to keep your son close, to protect him from the system. Sending him away felt like giving up, like erasing everything you had sacrificed. If only you had known what was coming. If only you had done the same. Anyways, things aren't looking good. But after long discussions, the group reached the most obvious conclusion. Wait and see what Frieza is planning. There is no clear move to make until his intentions became known. But just in case, you prepare an escape plan. A way to get off the planet if things go wrong. You all agree to use the few free days you have on planet Vegeta to take care of any unfinished business. For you, there is only one priority, your son. You decide to use this brief window of time to truly get to know him and finally start training him. Not the brutal, soul-crushing kind of training you endured as a child, but real martial arts, techniques, and philosophies you've picked up through years of experience. Lessons about strength, discipline, and compassion. The kind of lessons you wish you had been taught. You lay awake that night, envisioning the life you wanted to give him. He would be a warrior like no other, a symbol of hope for the Saiyans. You imagine the future, a better one. A life where your son grows up to be the warrior you always dreamed of being. A life where he fights not with strength, but with a pure heart. Like Yamushi, the hero who inspired you. And why not? Maybe your son is special. Maybe, just maybe, he will be a legendary Super Saiyan. This idea fills you with happiness, so overwhelming, it feels foreign. It's the happiest you've ever been in your miserable life. And the happiest you'll ever be. At least, you got that moment. Because suddenly, everything changes. You wake up to chaos. Screams echo in the streets. People running in every direction. Panicked and desperate, shouting for help. Then you saw it. The largest energy bomb you had ever laid your eyes on was speeding towards your planet. Some of your comrades had already launched themselves into the sky, desperate to stop it. You followed, your body moving before your mind could even process the situation. You had to help, you had to fight, but it was pointless. Before you could even reach them, it was over. You, or what was left of you, drifted in the cold vacuum of space. And as the fragments of your shattered planet floated around you, the cold void of space seeping into what was left stopped the thoughts flooding your mind. What was I thinking? You truly believed the Saiyans could have a better life. You truly believed you could change something. How foolish. How naive. You see it clearly now. You were delusional. The others were right all along. King Vegeta was right. He wasn't a tyrant. He wasn't a coward. He was trying to protect your race the only way he knew how. By keeping you in line. By keeping you from provoking the wrath of someone as powerful as Frieza. And yet, you couldn't accept it. You wanted more. You clung to fantasies, desperate to hold on to any shred of hope. You believed in a legend. An ancient story told a time tale meant to inspire wonder. But that's all it ever was. The Super Saiyan does not exist. The Saiyans were never destined for greatness. You were nothing more than a race
What
of
up, Sue?
brutal,
Good to see you.
brainless
How you doing?
warriors, tearing each other apart
Gotta go
and
check
selling
the
your
blood
mind
files.
to the
Get your
highest bidder.
networking in.
But that wasn't enough for you, was it? You wanted more. You wanted to rise above what you were, to reach beyond the limits of your nature. You were greedy. and your greed destroyed everything. You caused this. Frieza's paranoia, his decision to wipe out your people. It's all started with you, with your delusions. You were so desperate to believe in something, to make your pathetic existence mean something, that you set into motion the end of your entire race. Perhaps deserved it. Will cause to others. After all the planets your kind ravaged, perhaps this was justice. But your son, you thought of him, of the life you had wanted to give him, and you felt the weight of your failure crush you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, son. Your life ended so quickly, so cruelly, because of me. I'm sorry it even begun. I shouldn't have brought you into such brutal, hopeless world. A small flicker of light caught your eye, a faint glow of your scouter's screen. A message. Someone had sent you something. But before you could open it, before you could read these final words, your life was already over.
That's hilarious. Making fun of the Universe 6 Saiyans with the tingly feeling in the midst of their back.
Just gather up the Earth's Dragon Balls and have Shenron tell us where the Super Dragon Ball is hidden.
Yeah! Must admit I'm impressed. Turns out you really are more than just an overbearing man. You little... Oh, never mind. Hey, Vegeta! Yes, sir! Go fetch. Yes, sir! The Dragon Radar! Honey, bye!
Whoa, wish he'd obey me like that. Okay, here we go. I summon forth the Eternal Dragon Shenron!
You really get things done quickly, don't you, Vegeta? Precisely what I look for in a gopher.
You don't thank people by humiliating them! Ignore him, sweetie. You did good.
You already know that's BBL Bulma. You see what that boy look on his face like. Fucking with Bulma.
Hey, are you nuts? You know I hate sneak attacks!
Put from the World Tournament. After that, we were introduced to some Fist of the North Star bandits that got lost and found their way to Dragon Ball. Now, this one introduces something interesting. If you know anything about Sun Wukong, the character Goku is based on, you know he has 3 iconic tools. Goku has 2 of the 3 tools, but Toriyama never introduced the 3rd, that tool being the sealing gourd. Here, it has the power to seal someone if they don't answer when their name is called. After being sealed, they're turned into a liquid that if someone drinks, they can steal the sealed person's power. Kinda OP, huh? Luckily, Goku is able to avoid being converted with the power pole, and turns the gourd on its owners. Goku lets the villagers keep the gourd. Shame he couldn't keep it, as this is filler. But it's not really his style to use something like that anyway. The bandits are no match for Goku, but assuming they've been using the gourd for a while, they're probably pretty strong. So, let's give them 67 and 73. Now...
That was a short we watched. Oh, shouts out to Unrelenting Gaming.
Jesus Christ, really? Don't forget to become a member of Unrelent Gaming's Patreon for exclusive manga content and
As y'all heard Broly say, go check his original
I
channel
already
out.
joined this Patreon
Shout
today.
out to the
That's
Diggs
a
homie
great
putting out
support,
their work this week.
But did you really have to blow up the city? Blew up the domino. You blew up the domino and you're laughing. Do you realize the big crisis here? And you will be next. Unless you subscribe, like the video, and turn on notifications right now. Or else what? You'll aggressively scream another man's name for several hours? Kakarot! Kakarot!
with Raijin now having to return back within the demon realm where he rightfully belongs, I can't help but shake this feeling that time is of the essence here, because now that we are all made very well aware of what it is that we are going to be up against, if we don't start getting our acts together and start to move quickly, do I only then fear for the worst to unfold?
As our story now continues, following the initial events of the elder demon god Raijin now having to be shown returning back into the demon realm with his demon protege Haas, which it was only following Raijin's actions and being shown having to liberate Haas from the clutches of our heroes in Universe 7 was when the terrified Haas went on to then plead by responding, Lord Raijin, please show mercy upon me, master, for I didn't think that I would have been spotted by either of them while I was making my rounds and keeping an eye on what was happening, and so now please have mercy on me, as I wasn't intending on revealing anything to those creatures that would compromise our mission here either. And so please, Master, I beg of you not to take my life, O Great One, for I am at your mercy, and do you think that I sent you on a mission, Raijin chimes in, just so that I would have to later go and clean up after your failures, demon? No, for you think otherwise, as you are pathetic, for you are but a mere tool and a broken one at that, as your inability to flee from a single god's wrath is but a testament to how unworthy you are of my mercy. And so now tell me, demon, what use is a servant who cannot even protect themselves, let alone fulfill their mission? With Haas responding, well, I just, please, master, I beg of you to just please give me another chance, because I know that I have the power to go. Oh, is that what you think? Raijin went on to then ask, so you think that you truly have what it takes to redeem yourself after such pathetic actions seen on that god of destruction's planet now, do you? Interesting, and how can I be so sure that giving you a second chance would even prove to be successful, demon? As I would only go and think otherwise, to which as Raijin was then shown using a binding energy grip and having to choke Haas within the air was when Haas went on to then quickly respond, Master, please, I can show you if you just please give me a second chance to redeem myself. Oh, is that so? Raijin questions. Well, perhaps I should rather reconsider your fate then, given how you've been quite useful in assessing Universe 7 and relaying valuable information to myself and the Dark Masters about what they've been planning. However, maybe on the other hand, I should go and put an end to your life now and end your miserable existence, since I'm not too keen on handing out second chances after making a mockery of my title. Or maybe instead of allowing for you to be given your freedom, Raijin continues, perhaps you ought to have your mind be enslaved so that you may go and do my bidding without having anything go wrong for you a second time, demon. But maybe perhaps this calls for a change to take its place, so that we may go and see to it that mistakes such as the ones in which you were shown having to make are never to be shown having to be made ever again, demon. And so now let us see on just what the outcome of what is about to happen here unfold then, shall we? Demon, Raijin says upon nearly being shown having to tap on Oz's forehead. And as I can't help but now wonder on, will your fate be given a second chance for you to evolve, or has your fate already been sealed while you await your inevitable destruction? Exciting, isn't it? And so now let us go and find out, so do yourself a favor if you wish not to go and lose your head, and just simply hold still while we wait and see on what my magic is going to do with you once I come in contact against your flesh, demon. With Haas responding, Master, please don't do that. But it was already too late, because with Raijin being shown having to tap on Haas's forehead as Haas was now beginning to transform, was when Raijin then went on to continue, the more you go and speak, the worse that this will grow to become, and so now hold your tongue, for it would only now appear as though you were lucky enough to have escaped death, and now that I can see on which one of my options have been selected in having your fate be decided, Raijin continues, let this now go and serve as being a reminder of my will, along with having this be a moment where you will remember what will happen to you if you ever dare to make a fool out of my name and title ever again. To which this was now it, because with the demon Haas now having to be shown undergoing a monstrous transformation and visually now looking very different by comparison to how he was before was when Raijin then went on to continue, because now that you are far more powerful and while under my control in allowing for this to be what will guide you in moving forward, Demon, let us now go and see if you are truly ready to avenge your name after all that's happened, for you will not be given another chance if you go and fail me again, Demon. And so now listen to me and listen up very carefully, as I will not go and repeat myself in the meantime, Raijin continues. But do not mistake this as a gift, Demon, for it is a tool that you will go and use to carry out my will, as your mission is now clear. As you will go and take with you several of our most vicious demons, return to Universe 7 and annihilate those wretched rodents who dare to defy my will. For this will be your mission, but hear me now, as you should go and consider this to be your second chance, though it will also be your last if you fail me again, and so leave no stone unturned and no mortal left standing in our way, but fail me again and I will destroy you without hesitation, because should you go and return to me in disgrace once more, then I shall devour your hearts for all to see while I rip your flesh apart slowly. With the Demon Oz responding, yes, for I understand, my master, and I will not go and let you down again as I once have, as I will go and crush everyone in my path in the 7th if it means honoring your title. Good, good, Raijin says. Now remember your task and destroy those mortals and leave nothing behind in your wake, and while the rest of the multiverse shall be scouted and dealt with in pieces, I hereby call forth for you to be summoned, Kaima and Garlock, as I will now appoint you both to your positions, as here is what I require of you, Raijin continues. As I will go and start with you, Kaima, you will go and take several of your allies into Universe 7, where I want you to go and discover the home world in which Universe 7's strongest happens to come from, and once you do, I want you to then go and destroy everything that those mortal creatures hold dear to their hearts, including their friends, family. Leave no stone unturned. With the elite demon understood, and it shall be done, my master, with Raijin continuing, good. And as for you, Garlock, you will go and search Universe 7 for any mortal warrior with a dark enough soul that can be converted into an ally in order to further our cause. For I leave this up to you to go and find the strongest and most evil warriors to recruit for our main cause, because in order for this to go and work, I intend on using these mortals as mere puppets for my cause, and so you will go and bring them.
Let me check something real quick. Check. I am on camera on pig, so yeah, that's on the question I had. Look at this pig though. BuyMeACoffee.com. You dig? The Buy Me a Coffee link is down there in the description. Y'all know to go hit that up. That way y'all can support the channel, and y'all know we're gonna be loading up the hot dogs. Shout out to the memberships though. Members are gonna have they say on what we're talking about coming up, so you better get over there and go ahead and put your input in, and we'll let you know what we're talking about on the backside when we return a comment to you. Y'all already see who over there. Shouts out to DJ Is and the Superfood Parents, because they got their memberships over there. Well, they bought coffee, so they're gonna be grandfathered in when I do the membership. We're gonna do some membership gifting too, so then you gotta send your email over there to get a free membership. But you can just buy a coffee and then I should be able to get you. So boom. Back to the lecture at hands. Like Snoop said. Let's see. Yeah, we still got another video after this one too, so let's go ahead and get back to it.
Here upon having to find them when you do, am I understood? And as I do not intend to fail as I once did, and if everything goes accordingly to my plans, Raijin continues, then I shall have what I am looking for and complete my destiny by ushering in and bringing forth
That's
a
funny.
new era.
This demon right here looks like a kraken, and Vegeta was just almost getting ate up by a kraken. Huh.
into existence, as I will not go and fail a second time, especially not after I am given what is owed to me once the Dark Masters use the Super Dragon Balls, Raijin says. And while I gather together the others and send them off to go and complete their own missions, I expect for the both of you not to disappoint me, because if you are to fail and if you are to not go through with what it is that I asked of you, then just like that pathetic demon has before you, I will do unto both of you just as I will go on to do to him. Am I understood? And as I do not intend to go and repeat myself to you again, as the elite demon Garlock then went on to respond, yes, as you wish, my master, Garlock then responds, but if I may be so gracious enough as to ask you, but how exactly was it that he was able to learn about our mission, and what was it that you had went and set your sights on that had originally warranted for the Grand Minister's arrival, Garlock continues? Or do you think that perhaps he will go and try to do the same thing again after he learns about your return? As Raijin then went on to respond, if what the Dark Masters say about the Grand Minister is to be true, then for the time being that repulsive angel will no longer be an equation within my plans, but he wasn't the one who had originally sealed me away during the Great War that was held here within this realm, but it was rather his firstborn and strongest angel offspring at that time, who went by the name of Murno. And with the Grand Minister taking notice and somehow learning about my mission and finding and assembling together all three configuration cubes, Raijin continues, he immediately had decided to go and take swift action here against me, and having to deem my disturbance as being too great and my power too dangerous for his precious balance to be kept. But before having to step forward to challenge me directly, which he decided not to go and do, he instead had went and given this task on over to Murno, and not only placing his firstborn angel through the ultimate test here against me, but by whether or not Murno had what it took to actually go and get the job done by succeeding, Raijin continues. And while this battle within the demon realm had also involved some of the multiverse's strongest mortal warriors and deities from that given era, Raijin says, the most troublesome and dangerous among them all was undoubtedly that angel Murno. For the Grand Priest had seen my knowledge of these configuration cubes as a threat to his very dominion, and as the cubes themselves aren't what truly holds the power that I seek, but rather it is what lies deep inside of them once combined that further garners my curiosity. And if the rumors of the gateway that they can go and create are to be true, then the Grand Minister had every right to fear my potential, Raijin continues. And while I was within the prime of my power, it was only after Murno had descended upon the demon realm was when I had sent my legions after him, Raijin continues upon being shown having to see a flashback. And as wave after wave of my demons honed for destruction, each more fearsome than the last, had gone after him, only to have failed in the end, for none of them stood a chance as they all fell before him one by one. And while the horde grew stronger and the number of demons that I had sent kept fighting, I only then, upon having to see this angel in action here against them, had realized Murno's true potential, Raijin continues. And no matter what I threw towards his direction, he continued to grow stronger, sharper, and more refined with each passing battle. And although I knew that he did not possess the knowledge of the configuration cubes as his father did, Raijin continues, I only then knew that at that moment Murno had to be destroyed before he was able to go and find out more about them, Raijin says. And as I knew right then and there on exactly why Murno was sent into the demon realm to battle against our kind, for I knew that if someone like Murno, an angel with such power and freedom, could learn of the cube's purpose and power for himself, then he would surely become more of a danger than anyone could have possibly have anticipated, Raijin continues. But even while I stood at the edge of obtaining and assembling all three cubes and having them bring me into the ether realm, I knew that something had to in order to put an end to that rotten angel for good, because no matter what it is that my army had tried against him, and I knew that something had to have been done, and that was when I had orders for all four of the demon realm's dark masters to go on the attack in order to see if the angel could be brought down. But all the while, as this was shown happening, as I kept a watchful eye on Murno, I knew that even the dark masters weren't going to be strong enough to collectively go against him, which only made me that much more envious towards the power that this angel was displaying, Raijin continues. As I I knew that if I was able to somehow go and acquire such a power as the one in which he was going and using against us, then it would simply go without question that there wouldn't have been anyone who could have stood in the way of getting what I wanted after assembling those configuration cubes. But try as the Dark Masters did against Murno, I went on to continue to watch on how one by one they all started to fall, even while attempting to attack him as a collective. But even as they did, Raijin continues. He continued evolving and seemingly grew stronger and stronger with each clash against them, almost as if the act of battle itself was forging him into something far more than what he was displaying out there against them. And while having to watch this conflict unfold, I grew to despise these angels more and more as the fight dragged on, as even though the Dark Masters were my finest instruments of destruction and the first of many beings that I had created since the beginning of my reign, Raijin continues upon having to see Murno battle against the Dark Masters. When I had went and sent them against that angel, it became clear that they had encountered a force that went far beyond their comprehension, as one by one, with each of them throwing themselves at Murno with the full extent of their might and power, and one by one as they did, the angelic warrior known as Murno had went as far as to dismantle them all with complete ease, almost as though each victory against my Dark Masters had served to strengthen his resolve and sharpen his focus with each passing moment, Raijin continues. And throughout that entire time, as I on to watch this angel in combat against my Dark Masters, I knew that he had to be studied in order for me to learn more about his skills. And while I knew that we just had to go and destroy these angelic creatures in order for my cubes to be collected and assembled so that I may step through its gateway to obtain infinite power and knowledge, I also then knew that so as long as this Murno was in our way, then our options were extremely limited, Raijin continues. But even despite this, no matter how hard he tried and no matter how many of them had attempted to try and stop this angel in his tracks, it was only clear that this angel was very well trained, as the Grand Priest had went and taught this angel everything that he needed to know in order to survive a situation such as the one that he was placed in within our demon realm. And even as I went on to watch this angel continue to go and push my Dark Masters back more and more during their battle, Raijin continues, even the strongest Dark Master and second mightiest demon within the demon realm, Toro, had fell victim to Murno's power. To which it was only then within that very moment, as the former angel Murno was then shown having to grab and hold on to Toro's fist upon the middle of their battle, was when Toro then went on to quickly respond, "Why, you rotten angel, how are you this powerful that none of us Dark Masters, even while attempting to go and engage against you together, are unable to get through and damaging you in the slightest? For you cannot possibly hope to go and keep this up for long, because there must be some kind of a weakness that you have. And once we are able to find it, we are going to go and tear your flesh apart, and deep down, you know that to be the case," Toro continues. "And so you can go and continue to challenge and fight us as much as you would want to, but there will be no chance that we will go and allow for you to walk out of the demon realm in one piece, Angel, because one way or another, we will find a way to break you," as Angel Murno then went on to respond, "And while you may go and try as you'd like, understand that this is going to be as far as I will allow for you to all go here against me, no matter how many of you go and try to attack me all at once, and while neither one of you so-called Dark Masters are strong enough to rival me, you might as well go and call this battle off here against me now before I start ripping your souls right out of your bodies." To which it was only seconds after, with the Dark Masters then shown having to quickly attempt to gang up on Murno once more, as Raijin went on to look down from beneath them, was when Raijin then went on to continue, "For Murno's power was unlike anything that I have ever encountered before, and as the Dark Masters continued to try and press him during their battle, Murno's power had seemed to continue to grow and evolve in response to their efforts, especially since he was given the task by his father in order for him to go and see if he had what it took to go and get the job done, and as he tore through my Dark Masters," Raijin continues, "it was only then where I knew that I could no longer hold back if I wished to truly go and stop him in his tracks, and while I gazed upon that power that he was displaying, I knew right then and there that I needed to go and have that for myself, Raijin says. For I would have needed to go and unleash everything that I had if I wanted to go and destroy that angel for good, but it was also strangely enough where I began to sense something deeper that had been lying dormant within him during that time, Raijin continues, and it was something in which I wasn't able to fully get a good read on until much later on, but even then, while I knew that there was something more to this angel, the time had went and called for me to go and face this creature for myself, because while I wanted to go and learn of the source of where these angels would go and get their power from, in order for my plans to finally be completed and for my mission to be realized, I knew that I had no other choice than to go and face this angelic warrior for myself. And if there was anyone who was worthy and strong enough to do battle and go head-to-head and stand against the Grand Minister's mightiest angel warrior, then I knew that this had only then left me with no other choice than to go and fight that angel personally, as it was only right then and there now, during that moment, where the Beyond Dragon Ball Super Story of the Dark Masters, the official Murno sequel, manga chapter number 18, then comes to a...
Spoiler alert, he ends up getting sealed. Cause y'all ain't been paying attention, because you know I don't give a fuck about giving y'all spoilers. Hell, if y'all ass too lazy to click on the video and not get spoiled, that's on you, because you over here scrolling on YouTube. Shout out to the scrollers. I appreciate that.
Close.
Well, actually, I'll go ahead and take it from here, as I do want to go as far as to address something very important with our dear viewers at the moment. As before I go and give you the following information, if you aren't already a member of Unreal's Patreon community, then you are truly missing out on so much without you even knowing. Because not only is the next episode already on the page, but if you want to support all of the manga content that you see and gain access to tons of exclusives along the way that range from a variety of different things, then we do encourage for you all become members of our Patreon community today, for we will link everything down within the description box below and pinned comment section as well. Now I will go as far as to say, even though I wasn't expecting for Raijin's history to go as far back as the very beginning when the Demon Realm was created, but with Raijin also having to bear witness and face off against Murno himself, one can only imagine on why these events had to unfold the way they did. Because with this sinister and ruthless demon god now on the hunt by having to carry on and resume his previous mission prior to his capture, you do not want to go and miss out on what is about to happen coming up next. So we hope that you all enjoyed today's video, and before you leave, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up by smashing that like button on your way out, as well as also subscribing to Unreal and Gaming's channel for tons of new Dragon Ball content. So with that, we thank you all so much for watching, as we'll be seeing you all again for the next one.
Hello. Did you know that you can stay up to date with the latest Dragon Ball content by simply subscribing to Unreal and Gaming?
Also, don't forget to follow on these social media platforms, you sexy son of a bitch.
Roshi.
Silent Cell, me and the fans are having a moment. That's right. I know what you want. Extra long, thick Dragon Ball content. Quality reviews with flawless editing. Yeah, you'd like that, wouldn't you? You dirty bitch.
Roshi, the fuck?
God damn it, I need them to subscribe, Cell.
And we're demonetized.
Yeah, screw it. Let's cut to the video.
I need to go check out his content over on the channel whenever y'all got time. If not, just pop in over here on Super Saturdays when I got time.
Since Goku is small again, Dragon Ball Daima brought back the Power Pole, and I could not be more excited. In the original Dragon Ball series, we saw a young Goku using the Power Pole. This pole was really important in the story and had a lot of prominence during the first Dragon Ball series, but in Dragon Ball Z, we saw it practically disappear from use since Goku no longer needed it. But now, in Dragon Ball Daima, the Power Pole is back and is also one of the central elements of the story again. Because of the de-aging, Goku lost many of his signature abilities and skills and is considerably weaker than before. So, in order to better defend himself, he needs to rely now on his Power Pole again due to his shorter combat range. He's still capable of transforming into a Super Saiyan, however, though, as we've seen in recent episodes. Since Dragon Ball Daima, the latest installment in the Dragon Ball series, is the final work of Akira Toriyama. It's a really nice touch that he wanted one of the objects most loved by the fans of the original Dragon Ball to make a return.
Uh-oh.
You know what? The Martian Brothers of Dragon Ball Daima, they're kinda cool. Yes, as predicted, episode 12 has given us not only the victory of Majin Buu against Tamagami number 1, but also the surprising perceptiveness of his brother, Majin Buu. And in a way, it showed why, despite their goofy appearances, the two minions of Dr. Arisu are a force to be reckoned with. Now, there is no better way of showing how strong they truly are without using other characters relative to them as a litmus test, as now we have some data to back it up. Was a pretty formidable opponent in the last couple of episodes, and of course, never chimed in and empowered him. Do keep a mental note though of that for the future episodes, because this does show that he wants to test everybody's limits, but from what we can tell, only to his full potential. And Vegeta needed to finally debut Super Saiyan 3 in order to defeat him. And to his credit, the Guardian of the Second Dragon Ball didn't just collapse from his attack. Yes, Vegeta's intention wasn't to kill him per se, but still keep in mind that Goku was able to toss both Innocent and Kid Buu in that form, and Gotenks was quite a challenge for Super Buu, and this was Tamagami number 2. Number 1 is supposedly even more powerful. Now, while we got to the point where Buu got a little bit distracted by the lack of chocolatey goodness in his system, he still wasn't badly damaged and was able to defeat the Guardian of the Dragon Ball in his empowered version to boot. Now, this would already be over if not for Majin Buu being able to do the mental arithmetic. Majin Buu being strong, it wouldn't have mattered. Now, I do wonder if there was any trick to that as far as these challenges go. They are meant to make the fighter think outside the box. First one, making you forget about the cups. The second one, not really focusing on mathematics, more like logic. They might be gags, but so far, we've seen all of them. And at first glance, the third and second riddles are consistent with one another. So I do wonder if 683,775,029 has any meaning to it. For now, it seems the most brute force-ish out of all challenges, but something tells me we might see this again. After all, it'd be weird not to see any of our protagonists challenging Tamagami number 1. Anyway, this episode has given us the biggest proof going that Majin Buu is eccentric, not dumb, and that Dr. Arisu is quite lucky to have these two basically imprinted to her. While yes, Buu is the more chaotic and unpredictable of the two, he does seem to be quite content making his master happy, and the more loyal and easygoing Buu is able to keep him in check. Like, imagine if Barbary controlled them. That would be chaos. And I do think that Arisu, while still evil, is considerably less destructive than the wizard and his minions. If the two Majins had any will of rebelling, they could be kind of unstoppable if you think about it. Before the Dragon Team came, Tamagami number 1 was supposed to be the strongest entity in the Demon Realm. So powerful, in fact, that the Demon Kings were afraid to challenge him. So, yeah, despite Ku's odd behavior, he also isn't as much of a pushover as people think he is, as he was able to hold his own against him for a good long while after assessing that he could not defeat the Tamagami. That's not a weakling, folks. That's smart. He saw no use in fighting just to lose, as he had proven that he has other strengths than just brute strength, and even that is not as low in his case as many people think. I'm quite convinced that Ku will be able to beat Tamagami 2, and that took Super Saiyan 3 to take out, which at this point in the timeline is the pinnacle. Yes, we are before anything like Super Saiyan God or Super Saiyan 4 like forms, but nobody ever said that Majin Buu was a weakling, so do keep that in mind. And yeah, the two Majins are kind of weird and kooky, but they were created using a sample from the most eccentric form of Buu, which was of course Innocent Buu. Both Super and Kid Buu, they're much more menacing on first glance, whilst this one, well, You all remember how you first reacted when you saw him? The looks can be deceiving. It turns out the Dooku brothers are insanely fast learners, which shouldn't be all that surprising considering what a savant Boo was at the time. We extremely liked the detail of Doo learning how to do as the fight went on, realizing his own power. This is not dissimilar to the Z-Fighters getting used to their marketable miniaturized child bodies, and I am willing to say this out loud. At this point in the story, if Doo and Ku were fully aware of their capabilities, they would be an issue for the adult version of the characters. But I think one of their more charming personality traits is that they are not pure evil, that there's some complexity to them. Sure, Doo can throw a tantrum if he doesn't get chocolate, and they do work for an evil person. But in most circumstances, Ku just wants companionship of his brother and mistress. Neither of them seem to have the same level of malicious intent as Kid Boo did. Doo likes food, and he is a bit of a show-off, a trait that both siblings share. But other than that, in a different scenario, they could just be good guys that have been redeemed or something. They literally give us Gamma 1 and 2 vibes, albeit with different personalities, and I do wonder what their fates are going to be in Daima. For now, Arinsu seems to be pleased with Doo, and completely unaware of Ku's involvement, or pretending to not know in order for him not to spill the beans before Tamagami number 1, so he doesn't disqualify them for cheating or something. But one could ask, is that all? Would she create one more to challenge the Z-Fighters, or does something exist currently that the margins could gain in terms of a boost? Upgrade them? Use them? As much as we like them, we do have to admit, they don't give off final boss energy, that FBE, and we are quite sure they are not it. There is more to it. The wielder of the evil third eye is probably going to be the big bad here. Daima was quite good, and is still good, at bouncing villains around, making us believe that certain characters are going to be the main villains at certain points, but then turn out not to be. But right now, well, it's really hard to guess who it's going to be. The two successors of the Boo line seem like a safe bet at the time, but for now, I'm not really that sure. They are lacking in a certain malicious sort of streak. And I would say that one of the small issues that we have with the show is that they haven't taken the opportunity to have Majin Buu tag along with them. So we'll probably never see him interact with his siblings. Yeah, even we aren't so fond of the character, yeah, but we do recognize the potential for shenanigans to be had that could occur if they interacted. Also, do keep note that the sample that Arinsu took comes from before the separation of good Boo and evil Boo, meaning that they technically do have a piece from a stronger variant of Fat Boo than the one which is still around, which is a whole other can of worms that I don't think is going to be addressed. I don't think Toriuma's thought that far ahead. I imagine these interacting with Uber at a later date. Now, of course, we have to remember that they are also in large part Cybermen, so they are not quite like Boo, but close enough. And judging by their power, Mob has done a really good job of bringing them close to the original in terms of strength. If I had to guess, I would say that Ku is about the power of what Good Boo is currently, while Do might be closer to Innocent and Super Boo. Maybe not quite as strong, but very close. But how is this possible? Well, we don't know about everything she added to that cauldron, only the basics, and she somehow was able to create Kid Boo in the first place, so I would guess that some of the power came from certain ingredients. Maybe we'll get the flashback to his creation at some point. That's one of the two flashbacks that we would love to see. That, and Neva learning how to create the Dragon Balls, for obvious reasons. Still, we do think that Ku and Do are going to be a problem for the Z-Fighters, and we will definitely see them butting heads with Goku and Ko in the not-too-distant future. But the question is, what is going to be the next step? It does seem to us that in his desperation, Goma might try to forge an alliance with Arinsu. Curiously enough, Degisu is trying to calm the king down, hoping that his sister is merely protecting the Dragon Ball. He is slightly aware that he is deluding himself with that, though, which only shows that he wants to have high respect from the king and also believe in his sister that she's not trying to betray them all. It is rather curious, as despite being super ambitious, Degisu looks like an underachiever, almost like the weakling of the family. But still, I bet you that Goma would be interested in unleashing the Margin siblings on the Z-Fighters, and he might be the one with the means to improve them. Remember, whilst we said that Goma is probably not going to be the main villain here, he still is a skilled magician. We were told by the show not to underestimate him, and he had yet to show his full skill set. There's also Marba to consider. We don't know if she didn't put any failsafe into her creations beforehand, remembering her original fluke. But then the next thought is, if she also has her own agenda, and that she might at some point get sick of following Alice's instructions. But then, what causes her to be loyal? Some sort of kinship? The fear of being exposed as the one who unleashed Boo on the world in the first place? We know that at least initially that wasn't the case, but this sort of passive blackmail that we've witnessed between them might be a reason for a future grudge to be had. But then the question that we have to ask ourselves is, would Marba create something that would be completely under Arisu's control outside of her own scope? That wouldn't be really smart, honestly. And I do think that underestimating Marba could be the final nail in Arisu's coffin, because if there is anyone who can override the imprinting of her to her two minions, it would be the witch herself. Right now, the margins are quite pop property, and I do wonder what Naval will have to say about them should he actually clap eyes on them. Did he even sense that the first Dragon Ball had been taken? He does have that everything's going according to plan vibe about him. And as we've said in one of our previous discussions, that doesn't have to be an evil plan that he has, but it might still stir the pot quite a bit. But needless to say, Majin, Ku, and Do are entertaining. We do feel that they have somewhat of a mixed reception amongst the fandom, but come on, not all antagonists need to have the boring, perfect cell-like face. Don't worry, we still love you, Moro. It's just that we wish you kept your Ram Man snout. Look, the Boo saga was quite zany in its concept, and as such, something created from Innocent Boo could not be just, another Super Boo. And we are quite convinced that these are not their final forms. Though either if they are proven to be quite entertaining, I do feel, however, that Episode 12 will make many people change their opinions toward them, especially toward the likes of Ku, as they are odd by design. They are meant to give us the what the heck is that sort of a thing, just like the original Boo did. We don't know if they will fuse, transform, or if they will get a third meaner sibling altogether. But I am quite glad that we were able to witness the birth of not one, but two Majin. So, is it wrong that, for now, we are enjoying them just a little bit more than the original Majin Buu? Well, like, we never said we hated him, but we never hid the fact that out of all the Dragon Ball villains, well, the Pink Blob was quite low on our list. An interesting concept, but kinda stretched thin, beaten to death with just how many different forms that he got. Even more than Frieza. As of right now, these two feel fresh and their mutual dynamic is quite charming. So yeah, we are awaiting more antics from Ku and Do. We want to see them fight Goku, Vegeta, and the others, and who knows? Maybe, just maybe, they will even win their first encounter with them. Who knows what else Ku can do? In the last episode, he has proven clearly that he is definitely the brains of the duo. And if we find out that he is actually decent at strategy, well, the Saiyans might have a genuine problem to face. And Do is a beast, as long as he has his candy. That's how his engine runs. So yeah, we do hope that after episode 12, at least some of you have warmed up to the characters and their silly antics, regardless of what bodies they are in. We certainly did, as it was kind of hard not to root for them in that episode. But hey, we want to see what you think down in the comments below, and let's keep this discussion going. And I will see you in the next video. Catch you later.
You're making a big mistake. Where do you think you're going? Pity, what a waste of talent. Not today. Back off. Have it your way. A tough guy like you should be able to face the truth.
Are you okay?
place for you to stay. In the middle of the night, I'm gonna be there to the morning light. Remember me when you're far away. I'll always have a place for you to stay. In the garden, by the door, in the bedroom, on the floor. Remember me when you're far away. I'll always have a place for you to stay. In the middle of the night, I'm gonna be there to the morning light. Remember me when you're far away. I'll always have a place for you to stay. In the garden, by the door, in the bedroom, on the floor. Remember me when you're far away. I'll always have a place for